Welcome back to the Everyday Stoic. I'm William Mulligan, and today I'll be sharing with you Stoic wisdom and life advice from Seneca, who was a Stoic philosopher and Roman statesman from 4 BC to 65 AD. He served under Nero for over 10 years, and he is most famous for his writings that he wrote later on towards his death, the moral epistles and letters from a Stoic, which is where most of this wisdom comes from. I hope you enjoy.
Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. There are more things, Lucilius, that frighten us than injure us, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Sometimes even to live is an act of courage. All cruelty springs from weakness. Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant. One of the most beautiful qualities of true friendship is to understand and to be understood. Life, if well lived, is long enough. If one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favourable. As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters. True happiness is to understand our duties towards God and man, to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is abundantly sufficient. As long as you live, keep learning how to live. The bravest sight in the world is to see a great man struggling against adversity. Begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life. Wealth is the slave of the wise, the master of the fool. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more who is poor. He who is brave is free. He is most powerful who has power over himself. Anger is like those ruins which smash themselves on what they fall. No man was ever wise by chance. It is the power of the mind to be unconquerable. Time heals what reason cannot. You want to live, but do you know how to live? You are scared of dying, and tell me, is the kind of life you lead really any different from being dead? Things that were hard to bear are sweet to remember. Every night before going to sleep, we must ask ourselves, what weakness did I overcome today? What virtue did I acquire? If you wish to be loved, love. Man is affected not by events, but by the view he takes of them. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. Throw me to the wolves, and I will return leading the pack. Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness. The only thing that belongs to us is the time. It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that things are difficult. I am not born for one corner. The whole world is my native land. We are more often frightened than hurt. We suffer more from imagination than from reality. Time discovers truth. We all sorely complain of the shortness of time, and yet have much more than we know what to do with. Our lives are either spent doing nothing at all, or in doing nothing to the purpose, or in doing nothing that we ought to do. We are always complaining that our days are few, and acting as though there would be no end of them. While we teach, we learn. Everything that exceeds the bounds of moderation has an unstable foundation. Ignorance is the cause of fear. It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. A man's as miserable as he thinks he is. The greatest wealth is a poverty of desires. While we are postponing, life speeds by. Life is long if you know how to use it. It is a rough road that leads to the heights of greatness. Withdraw into yourself as far as you can. Associate with those who make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. The process is mutual, for men learn while they teach. Each day acquire something that will fortify you against poverty, against death, indeed against other misfortunes as well, and after you have run over many thoughts, select one to be thoroughly digested that day. The difficulty comes from our lack of confidence. You should live in such a way that there is nothing which you could not as easily tell your enemy as keep to yourself. It is of course better to know useless things than to know nothing. Nothing, to my way of thinking, is a better proof of a well-ordered mind than a man's ability to stop just where he is and pass some time in his own company. Philosophy calls for simple living, not for doing penance, and the simple way of life need not be a crude one. The part of life we really live is small, for all the rest of existence is not life, but merely time. The final hour when we cease to exist does not itself bring death. It merely of itself completes the death process. We reach death at that moment, but we have been a long time on the way. People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy. The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today. You are arranging what is in fortune's control and abandoning what lies in yours. Nothing is burdensome if taken lightly, and nothing need arouse one's irritation, so long as one doesn't make it bigger than it is by getting irritated. The time will come when diligent research over long periods will bring to light things which now lie hidden. A single lifetime, even though entirely devoted to the sky, would not be enough for the investigation of so vast a subject. This knowledge will be unfolded only through long successive ages. There will come a time when our descendants will be amazed that we did not know things that are so plain to them. Many discoveries are reserved for ages still to come, when memory of us will have been effaced.
I hope you enjoyed today's video and the wisdom from Seneca. Hopefully it soaks up into your mind and you can use these teachings as a daily guidance. You know, I like to write down my favorite quotes and keep them at the back of my mind, and eventually they soak up and become part of your character. So I recommend that you write them down or listen to them on repeat so that you can use these quotes as daily guidance. If you want to support what I'm doing, please consider becoming a YouTube member or subscribing, or heading over to my Instagram at The Everyday Stoic, where I post Stoic guides, Stoic memes, quotes, affirmations. I do regular Q&As, and I'm trying to build a community around Stoicism, so you can share your ideas with each other in the comments, or you can find Stoics. You can find other Stoics to connect with. I've been going over a passage in the Meditations that I thought I'd like to share with you guys. I'll probably share it on Instagram as well, because it's given me a lot to think about. And I just thought I'd share it at the end of the video. If you made it this far, I don't know if anyone did, but I noticed a lot of people did make it to the end of the past videos and commented Mp.Monarh. So if you made it this far, I'll just read this to you. What a tiny part of the boundless abyss of time has been allotted to each of us, and this is soon vanished in eternity. What a tiny part of the universal substance and the universal soul, how tiny in the whole earth, the mere clod on which you creep. Reflecting on all this, think nothing important other than active pursuit where your own nature leads, and passive acceptance of what universal nature brings. So, if you made it this far, that passage really refers to Amor Fati, which is the t-shirt I'm wearing. So comment Amor Fati, which is the love of one's fate. And thank you for watching. I'll be making many more videos, and I've got a lot of lessons that I've either pre-filmed or I'm planning to film, and it's just trying to edit them and get them out for you guys. I'm excited to share some of these lessons. I'm quite a big fan of them, of my own work, which is sad, but I hope you enjoy.